Hello everyone, Science Viking here, and yep, Kuja's personal theme song has replaced the overworld music. Yay. At least it hasn't replaced the battle music. That would be kind of weird. Or have like a remix of Kuja's theme as the battle music. But I feel like this is kind of the game's way of telling us that he owns us. Also, yay, cactars! A few more of them than we were encountering before. And we also don't have access to magic to deal with them. And what with us having a team that's of mostly physical characters, this could actually be a bit of a problem. Fortunately, we're considerably higher level than we were when we first encountered these guys. And every one of us at least has more than 1,000 hit points, that's helpful. Yeah, Zidane being confused is a bit of a problem. Normally, I would have one of the magic characters physically attack Zidane to end his confusion. Unfortunately, we don't have any of those. Well, Steiner can do it. Oh, right, they know haste, too. Oh, they cast haste on the confused people. I've actually never seen them do that before. They actually have some advanced strategies. And just as they're impressing me with their intelligence, they then cast confuse on someone who's already confused. Okay, at some point, Steiner should actually get an action and have the opportunity to break Zidane's confusion. And Steiner being confused is not really a big deal. However, let's get Razewind going. The other issue with cactars is that they are durable. Fortunately, they can't heal themselves, at least. And, confused or not, Steiner still picked out one of the enemies. And missed. But at least he's trying. And I suppose if he's attacking the enemy, he's not doing damage to his teammates, so there's that. Do they only use 1,000 needles as a counterattack? I've never noted. No, they can use it at any time, but they always use it in retaliation if you kill them. Or at least they often use it in retaliation if you kill them. In that case, I shouldn't be letting people with low health physically attack. Oh, let's revive Amarant. There are 20-odd Phoenix Downs. And Zidane can keep trying to finish off the cactar. Well, he could have continued trying to finish off the cactar before. And Steiner, in his confusion, attempts to attack himself and manages to miss. Though I suppose swinging a sword in such a way that you hit yourself is actually probably kind of difficult. Also, we just gained several levels, and I didn't arrange people's equipment to account for that. Well, it should be at least alright. And now that Steiner has mastered Minus Strike, I'm looking forward to learning Armor Break. Let's see. Okay, Steiner's helmet at least was mostly good. Yeah, Steiner's equipment was at least mostly alright for leveling up. But I am moving him up to the Thunder Gloves and a gold helm. The Lapis Lazuli was a bit of an issue. Let me see. Okay, so who is actually... Steiner is not going to level up. Zidane may, and Freya and Amarant definitely will. So... let's see, the Dark Matter is looking pretty good. Yep, Freya gets the Dark Matter. It doesn't teach her an ability she can learn, but that's not a huge deal. So Switch to the Mithril Gloves for Spirit. Not a huge boost, but at least somewhat worthwhile. And none of her spears give any better stats. At some point, we're going to need to get Amarant to start learning No Mercy. It's actually a very good ability. And anything I could change Amarant's equipment to would lower his speed, and speed is extremely valuable. So he's not removing the bandana, but he is switching to a Bone Rest. And a Brigandine. Especially since he can learn Return Magic, which is actually a very good ability. And the Power Belt. Okay, Zidane should not be equipping the Rebirth Ring with his Master Auto Life. Okay, so 2 speed or 2 strength. Considering the fact that Zidane, I think, has the highest strength of anyone, 2 speed is definitely the more useful option. The fact that it lets him work on learning auto haste is just a bonus. And a Brigandine to get his strength up even higher. And a Bone Wrist to get his strength up even higher. And yeah, giving up 1 point of strength for 1 point of speed is still a good trade. But with that strength stat of 35, I mean, obviously that's not his base strength, but his base strength has to be high for his imbued strength to be that high. Alright. Yeah, one of the downsides of not having any mages, we don't have any abilities that we can use to heal on the field. We have to either heal during battle or use items to heal between fights. It's like I'm playing Darkest Dungeon, even though I'm not. Ooh, new enemy type. Catoblephus. I think that's how you pronounce it, I'm really not sure. And considering how many ethers we have, I can afford to be pretty aggressive in my use of Razor. Especially considering the fact that Amarant can also learn Chakra, which can be used to restore Freya's IP. This is actually a lot like Darkest Dungeon. I can very easily heal during fights, and it's very hard to heal between fights. That went better than I anticipated. I thought those guys were more durable than that. Well, I'm not complaining. Alright. So now the Freya is still pretty close to leveling up, but Amarant no longer is, and Steiner is now. Okay, the bandana would teach in some. I just seriously considered replacing Amarant's bandana with a bandana. Someone isn't paying attention. HP plus 20% and antibody. Let's go with that. And I'm just going to have him work on learning Fleet of Gil on the grounds that I want to get learning that over with. I'm just a little bit of a completionist, and so I want to just get it over with learning the abilities that are taught by weak equipment. And Alert is actually a good ability. It's also the reason why I had Freya equipping, I believe, Emerald. Right. Diamond Gloves. And the Lamia's Tiara can stay. The main reason for that, actually, is so that I can replace Steiner's Lapis Lazuli with Dark Matter, so that his natural strength stat can actually compete with Zidane's. And switch back to the Mithril Gloves, which will give Steiner that nice 1-point boost to Spirit. Not a huge deal, but Steiner's Spirit stat being high is actually useful because, one, I don't remember if I've mentioned this before, Spirit has a chance of, affects the chance of a character performing a counterattack if they have the counterattack ability, and Steiner is one of the characters who can learn counterattack. So it's actually worthwhile for him to have a higher Spirit stat. Also, Steiner's trance ability is one of the better ones, and that's the other thing. Also, yeah, these enemies have the ability to cast float on us. They're Jabberwocks. Now, this isn't really and they also have the ability Heavy, which removes the float status effect. Now, the reasoning behind this is they have abilities that deal earth damage, and they have abilities that deal wind damage. The abilities that deal wind damage deal extra damage to characters who are under the float status effect, and the abilities that deal earth damage deal no damage to characters that are under the effect of the float. So... and he just cast Heavy on someone who didn't even have float. So the idea is they either cast float on you and then use wind magic, or they dispel float on you and then use earth magic. The problem is, their AI is kind of stupid, and so they'll often end up doing things like this, where one of them cast float on someone, and then the other one attacked with earth magic, and so they just canceled out part of their own attack. So these guys would be an interesting enemy to fight against if they weren't really stupid. And they also just knocked Zidane into trance, so this is going to be a short fight. Though they do seem to be fairly durable. I feel like letting Zidane finish this. Especially since this one's unlikely to attack us in any way in the meantime. And Solution 9. Oh no, they're making us float! How terrifying! And it even missed 2 people! And there we go. Alright. Now I just want to keep going south. I'm going to need to keep an eye out for chocobo footprints, because there is a chocograph around here. One that I'm going to want to use. Also, there's actually another friendly enemy around here. So I'm going to have to keep an eye out for them as well. And re-equip the Lapis Lazuli. Yeah, Steiner and Freya kind of have some catching up to do. Also, as usual, in regards to the friendly enemy, I'm not going to make you guys watch the entire encountering process, because that can actually take a while. But we can tell by the music that this is definitely not what we're looking for. Also, as for the pronunciation of this thing, in Final Fantasy 15, one of the characters pronounced it Toblepas, but also in The Witcher, they refer to it as Catoblepas. So, I'm not really sure what the correct pronunciation is. It's possible that no one seems to know. Everybody's just kind of got their own idea of how you pronounce this name. I don't suppose it really matters that much. This one does appear to be a bit more durable than the other one was, though. And it knows magic. That actually did significant damage. But it's dead now. Gonna need to use Raise Wind soon, though. Okay, Amarant has mastered Chakra. And Bronze Vest, learning Jelly. It's actually one of the better passive abilities in this game. Not a whole lot of enemies use petrification attacks, but enough do that being immune to it is valuable. In fact, I believe there's an enemy in Oilvert that likes to petrify people, so Jelly is going to be useful very soon. And yep, another one of these. Another unpronounceable. May as well have Steiner just physically attack. Oh, Heave. That ability name has a surprisingly long history in this series. There are a surprisingly large number of attacks named Heave. And I may as well actually use Chakra to restore Freya's MP a little bit. Yes, I am kind of drawing out the Devil's Bell. What's that do? Petrification is what it does, apparently. I didn't know they had that ability. Well, we have 32 softs. I think we're gonna be okay. The blood pumps, the limbs obey. Sorry, I'm using Darkest Dungeon stall tactics. I figure I may as well start imitating the narrator. These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten. Alright. Now I need to do a bit more equipment rearranging. Yeah, Barbet. Mithril gloves. And just switching back to the dark matter is good. I believe Amarant was the other one to re-equip. Oh, for him it's simply the power belt. And the Brigandine. And yeah, the bone wrist. And the twist headband. And finally, someone has a higher strength stat than Zidane does. For now, anyway. Of course, part of the reason for this is because for a while, Zidane was the only physical attacker on the team, and so his strength stat is higher because he's higher level than most of them. So I think that somebody actually did some of the math, and Zidane's stats are just a little bit artificially high. Which I suppose makes sense. He's the one character you're never allowed to drop no matter how much you want to. So it made sense that they would at least make him a little bit stronger to compensate you for that. Oh yay, Cannon! Reduces a character's health by exactly 50%. Interestingly, if you use Quina's Eat ability on one of these, you will actually learn a new blue magic ability. Cannon? No, not Cannon. Instead, you will learn Matra Magic, a completely different blue magic ability. They just have this ability that looks very much like a blue magic ability that isn't the ability you learn from. Is that just their counterattack? Well, I don't really have a good way of damaging them other than physical attacks because I didn't bring my mages. And they know Thunder. Interestingly, the other enemy you can learn Matra Magic from, the Zagnal, I believe also knows Thunder. It's kind of an odd coincidence, it has nothing to do with that ability, but very few enemies know Thundera, and of the ones that do, two of them can teach Quina Matra Magic. Honestly, the version of Matra Magic in Final Fantasy VII is a lot better. In 7, it's just non-elemental magic damage to all enemies, and is actually pretty good, especially for the part of the game where you get it. In 9, it has a very small chance of reducing the enemy's health to 1, and it's so inaccurate that it's usually not worth using. Whoa! Well, Freya's gonna level up soon. Also, we have had at least one character level up after every battle for a while. It's actually been pretty nice. Just a quick way of catching up the physical attackers. Catching up the people who were out of the fight for a while. Okay, Dark Matter. Yeah, I don't believe Freya's magic stat does anything. I may be wrong, but I don't believe it does anything. And Freya cannot equip the bandana. It's one of the very few characters who cannot. But the Barbet is still good. And as usual, weapons don't really grant stat bonuses. Oh, Zidane's gonna level up soon, though. Did I forget to change his equipment back after he leveled up? I did forget to change his equipment back after he leveled up. I mean, it barely matters. He's been in the party since the beginning, so he has mastered the majority of the abilities that he can learn, or that are available from the equipment we currently have, but I really should actually remember to change that. And we have found Chocobo footprints. Light the candles, say the words, stab the knife into the Gasol greens. Choco, I summon you from beyond. And open the Chocograph menu. And Dusk Plains, which requires the mountain ability, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to get the mountain ability before proceeding. And you can actually tell from the lighting in the Chocograph image that this is an area that's in this kind of twilight realm. I believe it's this forested area, but I may be wrong. I'll do a little more exploring, and yep, I am indeed wrong. Well, I'm gonna have to look around a little bit to see if we can find it. I'm actually also gonna check the description. What a beautiful sunset. That's extremely helpful. Thank you, Mene. That was exactly the information that we needed, and not in any way completely unhelpful. Alright. It has to be somewhere that we can't get to. It has to be somewhere in the sunset, which is... The way it works is, as you approach Oilvert, the sun starts to set, so that when you reach Oilvert, it's, like, night. It works the same way that it does with Treno, which means that the area has to be within a certain distance of Oilvert. And it also has to be an area that can only be reached by climbing over a mountain. This actually fits that definition. And from the right angle does look kind of like the area that we're looking for. But, once again, it appears to be coming up negative. Okay, just keep mining. Looks like I have a Chocobo dowsing rod. Alright. I believe this is the one I already did. It is. And it's also coming up negative. Okay. How far can we go northward before we stop being... Yep, and now it's not sunset anymore. So... And that's reachable without a mountain, so that's as far north as we can go before we won't have this one. Yeah, I've only done this particular one once before, and so I don't exactly remember where it is. Okay. This could be it. Nice. And hey, you guys get to all, if it seems obvious to you, you guys get to all watch and laugh at me. Alright. I suppose I can imagine that you're laughing with me. Okay. This could be it too, I think. No, that's reachable by land, so this isn't it. But this could be it. Yep, here we are. It took me a few tries, but I got this. Who's the man? Oh, and there's a Q's Marsh here, too. It's just only accessible on the ocean. I forgot there was a Q's Marsh just on an isolated island somewhere. I'm gonna have to go there and hunt frogs at some point. Okay. Treasure has to be around here somewhere. Okay. The camera controls are a little, difficult to use. Oh, of course. It's not that it's in a valley reachable only by a mountain. It's actually on the top of a mountain. 12 Phoenix down. Kaiser Knuckles. And the Iron Man card. The ore is not particularly rare or valuable. It's also one of the most common things to be able to steal. Now, we could use our Chocobo to get to Oilvert early, but that would be cheating, and I am a man of deep, deep, and serious honor, and I will not cheat, so we're actually going to park here and continue walking. And that's why, and definitely not because we need to get a few more experience points before we take on Oilvert. The boss in Oilvert is actually fairly challenging. Ooh. And this is a new enemy type. That the camera, for some reason, zoomed in on one of his horns real close. This is the Adamantoids. The main significant thing about the Adamantoids is they don't hit too hard, but they're very durable. Which means that we can farm experience off. So we can not farm experience, but it means the fight's going to take a little while. So if we set up Raise Wind, we can use that to heal ourselves. Of course, I don't plan on exploiting this too much, but the regen status effect is a bit broken in this game. Because the thing is, you continue regaining hit points during animations. So what you do is you cast that status effect on yourself with any one of a number of abilities that can cause it, and then you just use an ability. That was a much shorter fight than I expected, but then you just use an ability that has a really long animation, like some of the later game summoning abilities. And then you just, by the time the animation ends, your characters will be all the way back to full health. Right. Rearrange Freya's equipment again. And we get back to equipping the emerald. You've almost mastered it. Equals 10%. Of course, the other thing is, since we're nearing Oilvert, and we want to encounter the friendly enemy before Oilvert, I'm actually going to, relatively soon, need to go out and actively look for this friendly enemy. I was kind of hoping that we would just meet the enemy on our way through the, world, but it's looking like that's not going to happen. He's not going to live much longer. So, in the interest of not wasting too much of your time, I only want to waste some of your time, I am going to go encounter the friendly enemy, and then I will be back with a fresh recording file. So, I will be back in a moment. Okay, I am back. I haven't actually encountered the friendly enemy yet, but for perspective, it actually appears right next to where the chocobo footprints are, so if I had been smart, I would have attempted to encounter the friendly enemy before the chocobo footprints. However, this is obviously not the friendly enemy, so I will be back momentarily with the actual correct encounter. See you then. Wow, only one random encounter before we got the friendly encounter. And it's a Jabberwock. And he wants an emerald, which is the item that I've been on again, off again, equipping to Freya. What's funny is, I actually forgot about that until a second ago. Fortunately, I just rearranged Freya's equipment. Otherwise, we'd be out of luck. Well, let's give him the emerald he's asking for. And yep, the next one is Feather Circle. We'll see him relatively soon, actually. And we get plenty of ability points. Gonna need to rearrange some equipment. And we get a Moonstone. Alright. Switch Steiner to the Diamond Gloves. Oh right, Freya's equipment needs to stay as is. And Amarant has almost mastered Spare Change, after which he can work on No Mercy, followed by Countdown and Curse. And honestly, we've gained enough experience, so I'm going to hop on our faithful steed, and I'm going to ride him all the way down to Oilbird. The less informed among you might wonder why, after just one additional random encounter, I decided we'd had enough experience points. Well, wonder no longer. The answer is... I really probably should have thought of an answer before saying that. Well... And now I can't actually manage the controls to save my life. Alright, I want to cancel out of this so we don't have the chocograph filling up the map for the rest of our lives. And let's enter Oilvert. This theme is familiar. And there's a Moogle right here. So unusual to have visitors here. Please deliver my mail for me, Kuja. Wants us to deliver a letter to Muel. And he has a mock shop, too. Selling a diamond sword, a trident, mithril claws, as well as a magic racket and the healing rod, which we already have, the fairy flute, which we do not, cypress pile, silver fork, we got one of those as a hunting reward, as well as some pinwheels if we need more stuff to throw. We sell chimera armor, so I'm going to get a couple of those. We already have one, but having more than one would be good. Same thing with the diamond gloves, and the mantra band. Unfortunately, we now don't have enough money for dark hats or green berets. But, well, this equipment will be good in the long run. We don't need to worry too much about it. However, before we proceed, I am going to get us up a fresh recording file. I will be back in a moment. Okay, we are back. We have saved, we have shopped, and now it's time to explore Oilvert. This place is a bit of a trip. And it has monsters in it. Fortunately, they shouldn't be too dangerous. Of course, if this is going to be anything like Darkest Dungeon, it's going to make me eat my words at some point. Tell me in the comments if anyone else felt this way, but I always felt like the ogres looked like evil, magically animated books. Like, the part that is facing toward the part that has the face on it looks like the spine of a book that has been brought to life by magic and is trying to kill you. I don't know if anyone else ever thought that about these guys, but they just... I've never been able to get rid of that perception. They just look like books to me. Oh, trouble. That's a status effect we haven't seen in a while. But it's back now. These guys give quite a bit of experience. Yeah, we're going to be gaining a lot of levels for a little while. And let's also quick cure Steiner's status effect with one of our 27 anointments. Okay, Steiner I think is the only one who's close to leveling up. Which means he can just have the dark matter that Freya is currently equipping. I can't give her the emerald though, because, well, we no longer have it. HP plus 20% and Beast Killer should be good though. Freya is actually getting close to the end of the passive abilities she can learn. I suppose it'll make leveling up a bit simpler. Alright. And actually, before we enter the building, there's one other thing we need to do. Which is, under passive abilities, we need to rearrange some abilities a bit. We actually want Zidane to have Stone Killer. And also, jelly. Yeah, we're going to be dealing with petrification a bit in this area. So everyone who knows the jelly ability is going to be riveted. Same thing with Stone Killer, if they have it. I'm gonna give Steiner just accuracy plus, he's been having some trouble hitting things. And alert, so he can't be ambushed. Though, really, to encapsulate Steiner's accuracy issues, he managed to miss himself. He's never gonna live that one down. And Freya does know jelly. Does not know Stone Killer, but MP plus 10% should be good. And for Amarant... Amarant does not actually have jelly yet. I'm not sure what to give him. MP attack should be good. It makes his physical attack consume a little bit of MP, but also cause extra damage. This must be the entrance. Ugh! Open up! No way I can open a door this big. I don't know what's going on, but I guess we gotta go inside. It's an honor to be here. Well, that's not ominous at all. Oh, we got some loot. Found a remedy, as if we need more of those. And a rising sun, which is like a pinwheel, but better. And if we quick run across this room and leave through this exit, we find something that looks an awful lot like an elevator, except that it doesn't work. Well, let's quick grab the contents of this chest. And this giant thing in the center of the room really looks like it should do something, don't you think? Also, let's see about equipping that Gaia gear. Ooh, it teaches High Tide. Well, I'll give that to Zidane for now. And High Potion, Emerald, and Elixir. So we can get another Emerald to replace the one we used up. That's convenient. I forgot that he sold that. And literally walking one step, we have a random encounter. And it's one of these. These are the enemies that motivated me to equip Stone Killer. This is the Epitaph. They're a rather odd enemy. They can do that. Yep, they create a copy of one of your teammates. And it actually kills the original instantly. Of course, Zidane has auto-life. I'm not entirely sure how auto-life works with that. However, if you use a soft on the Epitaph, if it survives long enough for me to do that, it will become too soft to live. And yeah, so the copy will just, on its turn, it has an ability that instantly kills the original. Now, it can also copy people who aren't here right now. And if it does so, they, if it does copy someone who isn't here right now, it doesn't knock anyone out. So it's actually better if that happens. And people gained a bit more experience because Zidane was knocked out. You may wonder why, if I can just kill them by using a soft, I bother to equip Stone Killer. Well, the answer is, I forgot that I could do that until I was actually in the fight. So, first of all, there's a good chance Zidane will level up soon. So I want him equipping the Brigandine. And I'll actually keep him with the running shoes. but I may as well unequip Stone Killer. Yep, that's what I do. Turn abilities on, and then turn them right back off again. I am a professional. Is Zidane the only one who has Stone Killer? I think he is. And he spent... Oh, no, Amarant has it too. And Zidane spent the entire fight basically unconscious anyway. Well, and Muel, who we can give a letter to, because apparently Mimosa walking... Instead of walking, like, a few rooms to deliver the letter herself, or, just to say whatever she wanted to say in person, decided to send it through the mail service that isn't working right now. I haven't received any mail lately, Kupo. What's going on? Hey, Muel, would you go to Mognet Central and complain for me? I'm so mad about it, Kupo. Mimosa is scary when she gets mad. I'm not sure where Mognet Central is, though. No one knows, Muel. No one knows. Oh, this is the exit to the room. Yep, there's actually not a whole lot we can do in that area yet. We need to go over this way first. And touch this. And turn it red. And that doesn't appear to do anything, but we can't change it back. Having done that, we go through here. And this happens. Is this a planet? Was that right that just appeared? Mother Terra. I can't make it out. Zidane, can you really read it? It's not that I can read it. It's more like the words are talking to me. I don't even know why. So we have language that only Zidane can understand. Interesting. And new armor. Shield armor. And it teaches a new ability, Distract. Let's see what that does. I actually don't remember what Distract does. Lowers the enemy's physical attack accuracy. That's not bad at all. And we can go through this door. Let me quick check on something. This is locked, I believe. Indeed it is. I believe, if I'm actually blanking a little bit on the order, I believe we actually want to go down here first. And interact with this. And Zidane is telling me that I'm complete. Oh, maybe there's a proper order to it all. And this one gives the same result. And we found another piece of equipment, the power vest. Which gives a rather hefty boost to strength, in addition to teaching some pretty useful passive abilities. In fact, I'm actually equipping that to Zidane now. Yep, I actually was partially right. So these are 4 holograms, but we have to interact with them in a particular order. Aha! It worked! Ancient ship. Oldest in history. I knew you just had to do it in the right order. But one of us knew that, Zidane. The ship for war. Shipbuilding, technology, primitive. And their chest building technology appears to be pretty good, though. And now we interact with this one. Battleship, Invincible, Prototype. Prototype, Failure. The first battleship, Invincible. Improved version, currently in use. Invincible. We have heard that name before, if you remember. The plot thickens. And, appropriately, for finding out all kinds of plot and exposition, we are fighting a giant book. That's what it looks like, and I refuse to see it as anything else. And I'm going to quick restore some of Freya's MP. I don't believe you can steal anything particularly good from these guys. Yeah, white draw restores the MP of all party members, is what I thought it did. The issue is, it's not really very reliable, because it absorbs MP from an enemy to restore the MP of your party members, and it often restores less MP than it costs Freya to use. So it's kind of an ability that Freya can use to restore everyone else's MP at the cost of her own. But since Freya's MP is more important than anyone else's in this situation, since she's our main healer, I really don't want to use it right now. I suppose in a team of mostly magic users it can be helpful. And now, we're in the same room we were in earlier, but the different side. And they appear to be having a rave or something from the light show that's going on in the background. And this is flashing now. Huh? It's gone. And it's back. Beginning of the city. And now it's gone again. Zidane is apparently utterly baffled by a PowerPoint presentation. At first, the city flourished. Soon began to decline. At its peak, cities all over Terra. Then, the decline began. So what the heck is all this? Well, for lack of a better term, it appears to be a museum. It's just full of the history of a society that no one has ever seen any evidence of, and we have no idea where they are or where they came from. It's like a museum from another world or something, or another dimension or something. What is this place? Whoa, what a disturbing room! And they're speaking in a font that we don't have or something. Friend or foe? Wait, it's saying something. Visitors, climb atop the stone. I could understand it. Yeah, I can't actually remember my Amarant voice. He's had so few lines at this point. It hasn't had any dialogue in so long I can't remember what voice I gave him. Huh, I guess it's speaking directly into our minds. Well, let's go. Visitors, listen well. This is the record of our civilization. The seed's decline was not our fault. All vegetation and vessels died out. The decay of our Terra triggered it all. In order to stop the decay, many methods were considered. Ultimately, the best minds of Terra's civilization gathered. Then, a final resuscitation was attempted on the mother continent. Unfortunately, it ended in failure. It was later discovered to have been the catalyst. Subjects were selected After 4 tremendous sacrifices, eternal prosperity seemed within reach. Flora and fauna were revived, but is still in stasis. Final results are still pending. In order that our glorious history not die with us, we were constructed. Well, a lot of your glorious history seems to be missing. There seems to be a bit of a problem. It looks like this place is actually very badly damaged. Wonder how that could have happened. Zidane, what could this possibly be? I want to know too, but our friends are in danger. So let's save them first. What could this possibly be? Why, foreshadowing it could possibly be. Oh, that was not the door I meant to go through. So I've managed to go through that door wrong twice. Oh, and I missed a chest, too. That would have been unconscionable. Diamond sword, which we already bought one of because I didn't realize there was one in here. Well, for now, I'm moving Steiner up to the blood sword so that he can finish learning Dark Side. And I'm not going to, but if you're playing through the game normally, at this moment, I strongly recommend that you save. There's a Moogle in the corner there. You're gonna need to talk to him, because we have a boss fight coming. But first... it looks different than before. It looks like that other planet. What's this? Another planet? What the heck could this mean? It means their moons are gonna collide into each other. Well, I have some equipment to rearrange. Quick a moment. Let's see. Give Zidane the lapis lazuli. It's okay for him to keep the power vest, but not the Gaia gear. Definitely not the Nakai armlet. Would the egoist armlet be an improvement? Greatly increased evasion, trading off for just a little bit of strength? Yep, I'd call that an improvement. So I guess Zidane is an egoist now. Well, he is pretty easygoing, so I suppose it's appropriate. And, yeah, I'll give him the mantra band, too. Better defense, slightly lower evasion, and, increased gets of HP plus 20%. Alright. Yeah, we're going into a boss fight. The equipment rearranging is mainly significant for Zidane and Amarat because they have equipment that can also be used by other characters. But the main thing is we do not want anyone equipping the dark matter right now. And really, we need to be careful in regards to accessories no matter what. Why? Well, you'll see in a moment. Dane's ring should be good for Steiner. We have multiple Lemia's tiaras, so I don't worry about taking that away from Freya. The diamond gloves are no problem at all. Nor is the black belt, really. Freya's equipment can stay the way it is. Amarat, however, could benefit from the other mantra band. And an egoist's armlet. Definitely can't give him the Gaia gear, though. Power belt is okay for him to have. Some of you may have already guessed why I'm being so particular about his equipment. The other thing is, anyone who has the clear-headed passive ability should be equipping it. Clear-headed grants immunity to confusion. This boss likes to inflict confusion. This boss likes that very much. So, the boss cannot inflict petrification, though the regular enemies can, so it makes sense to just trade jelly for clear-headed. Unfortunately, Amarant does not know Clear-Headed, and I don't believe there's anything I can equip him with that will teach it to him. Though I may as well do a quick scroll through the equipment to see if I'm wrong. Oh, the magician shoes will fit the bill. HP plus 20%. That used up too many of his magic stones, and now he can't. Let's drop Undead Killer. We're not fighting Undead. And this will make life considerably easier once we get into the fight. I'm also going to quick use an Ether on Freya, because I have 21 of them. Thank you, Joko. You've been quite helpful in this situation. Now, remember I said this thing looked like an elevator that wasn't working? That's because it's an elevator that wasn't working. Now that we've seen... I guess this is the way you're supposed to leave the museum after you've seen all the exhibits. This is the part that takes you down and makes sure that you leave by way of the gift shop. And in this hypothetical gift shop is the thing we came here to find, the Gulag Stone. Something's coming. And that is the reason why you want to save. We're fighting Ark, the boss of this area, which I will admit looks very cool. Also, I really like the surroundings. It looks like we're fighting him amidst a field of stars. As with most bosses, it's a good idea to steal from them. Ooh, stolen elixir. That would be helpful if I didn't already have 20-something of them. And it's decided to open up with the very ability that motivated me to equip Clear-Headed. Propeller Wind inflicts confusion. I don't believe it even can miss. I believe it actually has a 100% chance of inflicting confusion on the entire party, who, because of the anti-magic field, will be primarily physical attackers. This has the ability to make the fight go very badly. However, by equipping Clear-Headed, you mostly solve that problem. It still has the ability Photon, which reduces a character's health to 1, but Raise Wind mostly protects against that. And Steiner having the Blood Sword is helping, even though he isn't doing very much damage. I'm not particularly invested in stealing anything from this guy. I'm going to have Zidane try to steal, but I don't believe he has anything especially important. But yes, if you equip Clear-Headed on the entire party, the boss's most dangerous attack instead becomes its least dangerous attack. Especially since the boss's AI is not able to recognize whether or not you are immune to confusion. So it will keep using Propeller Wind even though it cannot confuse him. Meaning it will just kind of periodically skip its turn. It does also have this ability. This ability is somewhat dangerous. Especially since one of the things that Whirlwind does is I'm not sure whether to say grants or inflicts the float status. And you may remember what I mentioned about the Jabberwocks earlier. If you're floating, you take extra damage from wind elemental attacks. And it also has Boomerang, which can make for some interesting situations, because Boomerang is simply a physical attack that hits the entire party. So it's entirely possible for it to inflict confusion on you with Propeller Wind, and then take confusion away from you with Boomerang. If you don't have Clear-Headed, you'll find yourself hoping it uses Boomerang so that you can have your confusion key. And I'm glad I cast Raise Wind when I did. It really does not like Steiner. Despite the fact that he is causing the least damage, and is in a number of different ways, is just in general clearly the least necessary member of this team. Ooh, another Power Vest. That's helpful. Despite Steiner clearly being the least necessary member of the team, it really is concentrating on taking him out. It also appears that he'll be knocked out this turn, or not. I suppose whenever, as Darkest Dungeon has taught us, whenever I say something, the opposite becomes true. So when I said he was going to be knocked out, he ended up surviving. This is actually another example of the regen status effect being a bit overpowered. Since the health regeneration continues during animations, an attack with a long animation actually gives the character time to recover hit points before the attack hits them, so that even if they wouldn't have survived the attack when the enemy started using it, by the time the damage happens, they're healed enough that they'll survive. It's totally a legitimate strategy, I swear. And it's back to using Propeller Wind. And yet we're down to Freya being the only one with regen. Since this is kind of an interesting quirk, when Freya is in the air thanks to using Jump, the game treats her as essentially not existing at all. And so this means that status effects don't end on her while she's in the air. So when you cast Regen on a character, there's a timer, and at the end of the timer, the status effect ends. But while Freya is in the air, she's not regenerating hit points, but the timer is also not counting down. Because from the perspective of the game engine, she just kind of doesn't exist. Oh, and also Photon is classified as a physical attack, and several people in this party have counter. Yeah, this would be a very different fight if we did not have Clear-Headed. I actually used to get stuck on this fight the majority of the time, because I didn't... Somehow, I was a kid, I was kind of dumb, it didn't occur to me to just equip Clear-Headed on the entire party, and so instead, well, I would be desperately hoping that the boss used Boomerang, or that my characters managed to knock each other. Ooh, holy mints, that's good. Knock each other out of confusion so that we don't all die. And Freya is in trance. I'm actually just going to use Chakra on Zidane to make up for the fact that his health is getting really low. Looks like Zidane will be in trance soon as well. The neat thing about Freya's trance is that since she stays up there until the effect completely ends, it's now impossible for her to be knocked out, and thus impossible for the fight for us to lose the fight until all of her trance ability has been used up. Doesn't make up for the fact that her trance ability's damage is a little underwhelming. Also, since we've managed to steal everything that we can from this boss, well, now it's just time to cause damage. Well, now Zidane can throw himself into damaging the thing. I do wish that Freya's trance ability worked slightly differently. Like, the idea of it hitting all enemies is neat, I'll admit, but I wish that it was handled sort of like how in Shin Megami Tensei you have abilities that get multiple hits that are then distributed randomly among the enemies. I wish it was like that, so that if there's only one target, it can hit that target multiple times. I mean, I referenced Shin Megami Tensei because I've been playing Nocturne a lot lately, but Final Fantasy itself has done this in other games. Final Fantasy 7 and 10 actually both have abilities that get multiple hits distributed among the enemy party, so if there's only one enemy, it hits that enemy really hard. It would have taken, if they'd made that one change, they could have taken what's one of the more underwhelming trance abilities and actually made it pretty good. Also, when Freya's trance ends, she doesn't actually have a landing animation, she just appears in her place. Yeah, that's gonna be the end of Amarant, I think. Well, not a huge deal. I still feel like reviving him. It's probably unnecessary, especially since bosses only give ability points and don't give experience in this game, but I still just... something feels intrinsically wrong about intentionally letting someone stay knocked out at the end of a boss fight. Also, the other way this fight can be very hard is if you, for one reason or another, do not have Raise Wind, since it really is going to be the majority of your healing. Because even if you brought, at this point, even if you brought a white mage, they wouldn't be able to use white magic. And while chakra is alright, it's kind of not going to cut it. And there we go. That is the end of Arc. I feel like I remember that boss giving more ability points than that. And a very rare accessory, the pumice piece. We'll see what that thing does next time. But for now, let's retrieve the Gulag Stone. We gotta get back to the others. And we receive the Gulag Stone. And rather than making us walk back, they immediately teleport us to the next plot event. Presumably Zidane and his party returned off-screen. Which is a great convenience for most players, but a slight inconvenience for me, since, with that boss fight, this is going to be the end of this part. Thank you all for watching, I hope you enjoyed this video. As usual, I love you all, and I will see you next time when we find out what was happening at Kuja's Desert Palace while we were off exploring a haunted museum.